Rinse and repeat. I cannot say that I am personally surprised at how this game played out tonight, but the Colorado Rockies losing to the St. Louis Cardinals by a final score of 5-2 that clinches the series for the Cards as their starting pitcher tonight was absolutely on point. Eric Fede, he was dominant tonight. So the Rockies lineup just non-competitive once again, unfortunately. Although Charlie Blackmon looking to end his career on a high note. He had a nice game tonight. Austin Gomber gets picked apart, a little bit of a death by nails or death by inches type of game for Austin Gomber as he was just getting picked apart throughout the course of the night. So disappointing loss, but the end of the season is near. So we'll break it all down for you guys on tonight's episode of your Locked On Rockies POSTCAST. Why don't we get into it, folks? Let's go.
You are Locked On Rockies POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Rockies POSTCAST. Welcome on into the show. Hope everybody is doing well out there on this Wednesday, September the 25th. Quick birthday shout out to my younger brother. Hope he's having a good day out there as well, and I hope that you guys are having a good day. I know that we're all kind of just numb to the Rockies at this point. I was just chatting with Mile High Sports Nuggets reporter Ryan Blackburn, and we were just talking a little Rockies baseball as the game was wrapping up, and I told him, sometimes I feel like I'm just doing the same show every night right here on the postcast with obviously some differences about pitchers and hitting and situations and whatnot, but a lot of the same results, unfortunately, for the Rockies over the course of this season. But thankfully, I'm a baseball guy, diehard baseball fan. I actually generally love and enjoy doing these shows, regardless of how bad the Rockies have been. But we'll break it all down for you guys on how this game played out. The Rockies losing tonight 5-2 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Disappointing game across the board. But again, nothing new for the Rockies the last couple of seasons, as they are now 2 losses away from 100 losses on the season. They've got 4 games left tomorrow afternoon against the St. Louis Cardinals, and then they've got a 3-game set against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I think they're probably going to eclipse 100 losses for the second consecutive season, which is very unfortunate, something that they were able to not, the Rockies had never lost 100 games in a single season, except for last year being the first time, and now it looks like it's going to be 2 years in a row. So that's just kind of where we are at with things as it pertains to the state of the Rockies franchise. Was able to catch some of Buddy Black's press conference. We'll kind of dive into some of those details on the postcast tonight, and away we go. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP, and do me a favor, guys, make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never miss an episode of your Locked On Rockies, Locked On Buffs, and Locked On Broncos postcasts, and Nuggets is coming soon. Nuggets Media Days bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll keep you posted on when the Nuggets shows are going to get rolling as well. But excited for that because we get to talk about some winning teams with the Denver Nuggets, of course, as they look to right their wrongs after last season ended in brutal fashion for them. But this is the Rockies Show, and today's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right state can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. More from our friends over at Booking.com in a minute. But as I said, a 5-2 loss for Colorado tonight, now 60-98 on the season. St. Louis improves to 81-77. And really just the story of the night is the Rockies' inability to generate any sort of consistency on the offensive front. They did finish with 9 base hits tonight, but only able to generate 2 runs, a lone run there in the bottom half of the 3rd inning, and then kind of a throwaway run there in the bottom half of the 9th inning, as this game was essentially over and done with for Colorado. It just felt like St. Louis had controlled this game from the moment in which it started. And the starting pitcher tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals, Mr. Fede here, he was dominant, absolutely dominant tonight. 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. The Rockies line up another double-digit strikeout game for the Rockies lineup, which is just absolutely brutal. And that's why, I kind of say it's rinse and repeat with the club right now, because it just feels like every single game they're striking out in the double digits. And obviously that's no recipe for success. I think it was against the Brewers a few weeks ago where they were able to strike out like 16 times and still managed to win a couple of games. But that's no way to play winning baseball. We know that the Rockies as a franchise right now are not playing winning baseball. Nothing close to it. I mean, they're 30 games under 500 guys, and second year in a row where they've been non-competitive more often than not, which is frustrating for the fans. But I'll have some bigger thoughts once we get to this Dodgers series as we begin to wind down and put a bow on this season and take a look at what maybe we could be optimistic about with the Rockies next season. I think there is some reason to be optimistic. I like what I've seen from some of the guys in the rotation. The bullpen's been a jigsaw puzzle essentially for the course of the season, and the lineup, man, they've got to add some depth. Curious to see how the Rockies, what the heck was I trying to say? Curious to see how the Rockies try to address their lineup and try to fill some holes in the offseason. But par for the course in regards to tonight's game. And, just looking at it, nice to see Charlie Blackmon, hitting in that leadoff spot once again. He's been hot, in these ever since he announced his retirement. 2 hits on Tuesday night. He had 2 hits tonight. And, that's all you can hope for, is to see Charlie Blackmon go out on a high note. Like I said, one of the all-time iconic Rockies in franchise history. I don't put him in that same tier. Like, to me, tier A of Rockies players all time are obviously the 2 Hall of Famers, Todd Helton and Larry Walker. I personally would also put Nolan Arenado in that category. And I know, he isn't a lifelong Rocky. The way that he left the organization was rather frustrating, but the most talented player to ever play for the Colorado Rockies, in my opinion. And, he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. I know that things haven't gone the way that he's wanted to in St. Louis, although they win tonight. They've won the last 2 games against his former club, which is not a surprise. I caught this nugget on the Locked On Rockies post-game show. The Rockies have not won a season series against the Cardinals since 2009. I was in grade school, like probably 5th or 6th grade when the last time that the Rockies, maybe even younger, now that I think about it, the last time that the Rockies had won a season series. There's some of you folks out there that probably didn't have kids yet, weren't married yet, or also probably still in school, just like me. The last time, Clint Hurdle was the manager the last time the Rockies won a series season against the St. Louis Cardinals. So, and St. Louis isn't even that good this year. They're certainly below their expectations. They're above 500 at 81-77. But not exactly like the St. Louis Cardinals or like the Los Angeles Dodgers per se. And, nothing new with the Rockies, unfortunately, on that front. But, another nugget that I had caught for the starting pitcher tonight, Mr. Fede, for the St. Louis Cardinals, he threw first pitch strikes in 20 of the 21 batters that he faced tonight against this Rockies lineup. That's really good, obviously, for St. Louis. But what that also does is puts the Rockies hitters at a disadvantage. Obviously, you can do some first pitch swinging. We saw that Charlie Blackmon did that a little bit tonight, which is a bit uncommon for him. But I guess he's trying to be aggressive and get after it in his final handful of games at the professional level before he rides on off into the sunset and retires. But when you're down 0-1, essentially in the blink of an eye, 20 of 21 at-bats tonight, you have to really change your approach to plate. And we know that the Rockies lineup is not exactly filled with, I don't want to say a lack of quality hitters, but, guys that need to work ahead in the count or need to have, when they're ahead of the count, they can be set up for success. These are guys that maybe because I'm not just trying to destroy them, right? Like, I don't want to say that they lack grit or anything like that, but they're not up to par with the rest of the major leagues. It's a lot of journeyman type players, right? And just kind of knowing the complexion of the Rockies lineup, if you're going to be down 0-1, 20 out of 21 times tonight, you're going to put yourself in some rough situations, or at least in some difficult situations to try to crawl yourself out of these at-bats and try to generate something positive. But the lineup was just an atrocity tonight. Like I said, they generate 9 hits, but only the 2 runs. Blackmon with 2 hits. Tovar was 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts. His batting average is down to 265. He's been on a little bit of a cold spell. Brenton Doyle, who else responsible for one of the RBI runs batted in tonight for the Rockies? He went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts as well. Ryan McMahon. I saw this earlier today from my guy Patrick Lyons on social. Let me pull this up so I can read it to you. He has been a disaster since the All-Star break. McMahon tonight's 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. He's hitting 244. This was in the middle of the game, so I don't know exactly how he probably had a net bat or two after this was posted from Patrick Lyons. But Rockies' Ryan McMahon has struck out 10 times in his last 17 plate appearances. McMahon entered Wednesday slashing 191, 290, and 312 in the second half following his first All-Star game selection. So a sub 200 batting average for Ryan McMahon since he was the lone representative for the Rockies in the Midsummer Classic, which is just not good. And again, I understand that he doesn't cost him a lot of money. I understand that Dick Monfort likes him. Like, why did they? And maybe the offers weren't there, but like, why are you still holding on to Ryan McMahon when maybe there were some decent offers? You could have got some prospects back. I don't know. Maybe there weren't those offers out there, but you're seeing the returns. And I like Ryan McMahon, but this is a team that needs to play for another day. And Ryan McMahon's 29, 30 years old. Doesn't necessarily fit the mold of where the Rockies are going right now as well. But it is what it is. Rest of the lineup, like I said, dismal. Michael Toglia 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts tonight. Sam Hilliard, 2 strikeouts and 4 plate appearances. Stallings with a base hit and a strikeout in his 3 plate appearances. It's just kind of rinse and repeat. The season from beyond for Nolan Jones, unfortunately, continues. He had 2 hits tonight, but he's only hitting .215, also punched out. And Aaron Schunk, responsible for the other Rockies run, batted in tonight. He had 2 hits tonight as well. So only 2 players in the Rockies line, or 3 players rather, Nolan Jones, Aaron Schunk, and Charlie Blackmon with multi-hit games. But the guys that you need to step up, Tovar included, McMahon, were unable to do so tonight as the Rockies fall to the Cardinals 5-2. Okay, why don't we hit our first break? When we come back, we can continue along with the conversation. Let's talk about Austin Gomber's outing tonight, his final start of the year, give you some opinion on Gomber and his future with the organization. Where is he going to slide into this rotation moving forward? Remember, he's under team control. I'll confirm this as well, but I believe only one more season before he's set to become an unrestricted free agent. Knowing the Rockies, they'll probably keep him around. I don't know if that's the worst idea, but we'll break down Austin Gomber's performance tonight when we come back here on the other side on your Locked On Rockies postcast. And I told you we were going to hear more from our friends over at Booking.com, guys. So let me tell you about the fine folks over there. Because this episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. The right state can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rival city. And guys, you can explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. And they're going to be able to hook you up, our friends over at Booking.com, with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. On Booking.com, you just might find your perfect stay, even in your rivals, or even in your baseball rivals city during the postseason. So if you want to get out to Arizona, if you want to get out to Los Angeles, if you want to get out to San Diego, make sure to check out our friends over at Booking.com. Maybe it's time to taste test your baseball competition's stadium cuisine. Luckily, on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you. With Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the United States, you can go incognito to all your baseball rivals cities. And guys, I've used Booking.com before. There's a ton of great ballparks out there. I grew up in the Los Angeles area, and the Dodger Stadium's a fun one to go out to. Great food, great venue. If you have not been out there yet, Booking.com delivers exactly the right U.S. stay for you. Booking.com can help you book a stay that's close to your home teams or rival stadium. No matter what team you're rooting for this postseason, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across the United States. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Be sure to book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. Be sure to check them out, guys. Yes, one of my favorite reads that I get to do. Let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with 200. Well, you'll get started. Well, I almost said 200,000. That would be nice, but that's not the case. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Be sure to check them out at FanDuel.com. And I say this every single time that I do the FanDuel read, guys. I am an active FanDuel user. I've got it downloaded on my phones at all times. And it is an incredible sports book. It is my personal favorite sports betting option for the legal sports books here in Colorado. Great odds, great menus. If you're into the straight bets like me, you like to play sides and totals, it's fantastic for that. And I know the parlays are a really big deal out there these days. I think FanDuel has the best menu of same-game parlay options. So be sure to check out our friends over at FanDuel. You can do so at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Okay, well, come on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Unfortunately, the Rockies losing tonight to the St. Louis Cardinals. Your final score, 5-2. Just a non-competitive game for the Rockies. As I mentioned in the first segment, felt like St. Louis just had total control of this game from the moment that it started, and the Rockies were unable to really put up much of a fight in this one. So I won't break it all down, but you can follow me on social media at Media by AP. And also do me a favor, make sure to subscribe to that Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never miss an episode of your Locked On Rockies, Locked On Buffs, and Locked On Broncos postcast. And for any of you guys that listened to the last episode or watched the last episode on YouTube of the Locked On Buffs postcast, I want to say thank you. The best show that I've ever done from a viewership perspective. And that's because of you, the listeners, the community out there. Really appreciate you guys rocking with me here on the channel. I'm building it up all by myself, so it's a labor of love, and I appreciate it. But let's get into Austin Gomber's performance tonight, guys. Not the worst outing in the world. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned. No walk, but you like to see in 3 strikeouts. And the first inning did not come back to bite him today. You know, that's been the kryptonite of Austin Gomber, is he sometimes gets out to these really tough starts and digs himself into these holes, you know, where the Rockies can get down 2, 3, 4 runs, you know, before Gomber's even out of the first inning. And that was not the case tonight, as St. Louis was just kind of able to pick him apart in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. Or he didn't pitch into the 6th, excuse me. So just innings 2 through 5. Excuse me, I'm tripping over myself tonight. They put up 1 run each in all of those innings. So it was kind of a death by paper cut situation for Austin Gomber tonight. But this was his last start of the year. And, you know, I caught some of Buddy Black's post-game press conference, talked about how, you know, the durability was there with Austin Gomber, which was nice, you know, pushed him back at one point in the season early in like May or June. Like it was right around the time that I started doing these shows, I remember. And then, you know, he had a child about a month ago, so they pushed him back for that. But from a health standpoint, Austin Gomber was pretty durable for the Rockies this year, which is a good thing in the pitching department. You know, Kyle Freeland missed a chunk of time. You know, German Marquez only made 2 starts. Antonio Senzatella finally made his way back after essentially 2 years out. So at least Austin Gomber was able to give you some consistency and is going to finish the season with a sub-5 ERA. And you're probably thinking like Aniello, like a 4.75 ERA isn't that good either. But I think we might just have to accept that that's good for the Rockies, or at least serviceable for the Rockies, because Gomber had some moments this year where he was lights out. You know, he had some moments where he was dominant. I forget who he made that start against, but he had that 1 8-inning performance. I think it was against the Braves, if memory serves me correctly. And he looked like the guy that they were going to hope that they were going to get in that trade that sent Nolan Arenado to the St. Louis Cardinals. So he gets picked apart tonight a little bit against the St. Louis Cardinals, but you know, it is what it is. I don't want to say that he didn't finish necessarily on a strong note, but it could have gone a lot worse. And, you know, one of the things that I think you like to see from Gomber over the course of this season is the further development of his pitches. He was able to mix in some better breaking balls, just a better pitch mix. And I think he also developed some confidence with his fastball as the season progressed, because there's, you know, I think back to years past when they moved into the bullpen, or even when he was first to start up with the Rockies, like, when he didn't have confidence in his fastball, things just kind of fell apart rather quickly for Austin Gomber. And I liked the mental fortitude that we saw from him throughout the course of the season. Probably his best season as a Rocky, certainly his most consistent. And let me pull this up because I said that I would. I believe he's got one more year of team control. I believe he's 30 or 31 years old at this point in his career. Austin Gomber contract. Let's take a look here. I love sportrack.com, man. They make it so easy. Yeah, so he's got his third arbitration season coming up here in 2025, and he will be 31 in that season. So next year can be prove it year for Austin Gomber, and he's going to be back with the team. He's going to be back in that rotation and hopefully able to build off some of the good stuff that we saw from him down the stretch this season. You know, it wasn't all terrible for Gomber this season. And I know that the returns, and that's the thing. Like I said, I was talking with my buddy Ryan Blackburn, and he was talking about, like, are they ever going to break through in the pitching department? Like, are they ever going to have like some real deal, top of the line starting pitchers? And the answer to that's probably no. I think the recipe for success for the Rockies from a pitching perspective, at least in the rotation, is what they did in 17 and 18, which is you got to have some homegrown talent, and you got to have guys like German Marquez was really good for a couple of seasons. Like, I think that's about as good as it gets. German Marquez, Senza was good. Obviously, Jorge De La Rosa back in the day, Chacín back in the day. But you got to hope that you can have 5 guys that you can at least rely on a semi-regular basis. Can they? I don't think the Rockies are going to have many guys that are going to have ERA sub 2 or sub 3. Like 2.5. Right? You're going to have to be okay with guys that are going to put up ERAs that are closer to 3.75, 4, 4.25, 4.75, like Austin Gomber. And you're going to have to hope that your lineup gets back to being potent and taking advantage of playing, half of your games at Coors Field at elevation. Not the worst start tonight for Austin Gomber, but, just kind of a fine ending to his season. He got out-pitched tonight, which isn't great. But, I thought collectively the body of work for Gomber this season showed you something that you can hopefully be excited about to an extent moving forward. He's not going to be a top-of-the-line guy, but, as a guy that's going to be maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th in your rotation behind Marquez, Freeland, Senzatella, depending on how Senzatella and Marquez can kind of bounce back from their injuries, not the worst option in the world, especially for the Rockies. And a guy that has figured out a way to at least be decent, serviceable at Coors Field. And Buddy Black made mention of that in his post-game press conference tonight, of like sometimes his stat line tonight, which was 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 3 strikeouts. Sometimes when the lineup's clicking, sometimes that's good enough to get a pitcher a win. So that's all she wrote for Austin Gomber this season. Finishes it on a decent note. But all right, let's hit our final break. When we come back, man, this show is flying by. We'll put a bow on the show, some closing thoughts on the game tonight, and we'll look ahead to tomorrow's matchup between the Rockies and the Cardinals. Stick with us. More to come right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. All right, you guys, let me tell you about the fine folks over at Game Time. And I'm an active Game Time user, and I know that you should be as well, because Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And guys, let me tell you about some of the incredible deals that they have available on the Game Time app. I just told you about Game Time Picks. Curation makes it easier for you to save more on sports, concert, comedy, theater, and all that good stuff. My personal favorite, though, is their all-in pricing. When you toggle this feature on the website or on the app, it shows you the complete total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. I absolutely love that feature. Plus, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before your buy with their seat viewer. And plus, guys, the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you not 100% of the difference, 110% of the difference. Plus, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time, folks. And guys, I'm an active Game Time user. I used it for the first time to get some tickets for my folks and I to see Billy Joel at Coors Field this summer. Got my little $20 off as well, which helped me out a little bit, save some change. And if you're not an active Game Time user, I don't know what you're waiting for. Be sure to check out our friends over at Game Time. Use that code LOCKEDONMLB and enjoy all of your concert sport viewing experiences as the rest of the season progresses, guys. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are hanging in there out there as the Rockies, unfortunately, tonight losing to the St. Louis Cardinals 5-2. And I went a little bit long in the first and the second segments there. So let me just say this. If you're a Rockies fan in the Denver metro area, get out to Coors Field this weekend, man. Pay your respects to Charlie Blackmon. 4 games left to see Chuck out there. Obviously tomorrow. And then you got the 3 games against the Dodgers, and that's about it. You know, not about it. That is it for Charlie Blackmon. You know, he's mentioned how he's going to probably try to stick around the organization in some capacity, maybe down at spring training. You know, he's a baseball guy. But when it comes to hearing, you know, Josie's on a vacation far away, he's going on vacation, and it's going to be permanent. You know, he's no longer going to be playing for the Rockies at Coors Field. So if you're a Rockies fan, I cannot suggest you get out there any more than I am right now, because why not? You know, the most iconic walk-up song in Rockies history, the beard, the flow. This is your last opportunity. 4 games left for the Rockies. So if you're a fan of Chuck Nasty, if you're a fan of the Rockies, go on out there and pay homage to one of the all-time greats in franchise history. And like I said, you're not going to get that opportunity back. If you got young kids as well, I would suggest doing that. You know, he's a fan favorite for a reason. And that's definitely going to be a little interesting when Charlie Blackmon at this point is no longer playing for the Rockies on a regular game in and game out basis, or just playing in general for the organization. So that's my message to you, is get on out to Coors Field, pay homage to Chuck, and hopefully I'll see you there. I think I'm going to go on Friday myself. So should be a good time. But okay, before we get out of here, tomorrow's matchup, a battle of the Kyles. It is Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Cardinals. He's 8-8 with a 4.13 ERA and 146 strikeouts. And making his final start of the season for the Rockies, it'll be Mr. Kyle Freeland, the hometown kid. He's 5-8 with a 4.95 earned run average. And we'll take a look here at a couple of his last outings. Freeland's been much better since coming back off the injured list in the middle of the season. Was essentially out for half of April and all of May and most of June before coming back on June the 23rd. And he's been pretty good for the most part since then. His last time out against the Los Angeles Dodgers on the 20th of this month, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned. Gave up 3 home runs in that game, which is just brutal. But, you know, like I said, he's only given up 8 earned runs in his last 4 starts, which is not a great number. But, you know, in 4 starts, you can live with that for sure from Kyle Freeland. 14th of September against the Cubs, he was solid. 7 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 runs, all earned. The long ball killed him in that one, too. He gave up 2 in that game. 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. So you're looking for Kyle Freeland to try to end the season strong on a high note. You know, he's going to be one of the top guys in that rotation once again next year, hopefully alongside Senzatella, Marquez, Gomber, Feltner. That's probably your starting 5, because we know the Rockies aren't getting any guys in free agency. That's for sure. But K-Free going up against I know his name's Kyle, but now I'm forgetting. Kyle Gibson, excuse me, I believe. Let me make sure. For the St. Louis Cardinals. And Gibson, like I said, is 8-8 with a 4.13 ERA. His last time out for Kyle Gibson was on the 20th of September as well against the Cleveland Guardians. He went 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 2 home runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. So battle of the Kyles tomorrow with Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals and Kyle Freeland for the Rockies. But 2 losses away from 100. We'll see if Freeland can do his part to try to stay that off a little bit. I think the Rockies are probably going to lose 100, 101 games. Maybe they finish with 100 on the dot, but we shall see. So going to be a good one. Get on out to the ballpark, support Charlie Blackmon, and just relish in Coors Field, man. It's an incredible ballpark to go and catch a game at, and only 4 opportunities left to do so before this Major League Baseball season comes to a close for the Colorado Rockies. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for me on tonight's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast. Really, really, really appreciate you guys tuning in with me throughout the course of the season. Again, you can follow me on social at Media by AP, and make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never miss an episode of your Rockies, Broncos, and Buffs postcast. But that's it for me. Rocks lose 5-2. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow afternoon after the series finale between the Rockies and the Cardinals. Have a good night, y'all.